Try it now.
Hello, hello, hello.
You got it. That's
I
fine.
can hear.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
How about now? I've got it on the mic.
Oh, yeah.
Much longer.
Okay,
Concert fun.
Okay. good. We're good then.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 11th, 2026 conservation meeting. We'll start it by announcing that this is being recorded. And now we'll take a roll call. Attendance. Leah?
Leah Whiting,
Here's for Carl Hummel.
Susan Cahalan.
Bob Sweet.
Isabella Genova, agent.
Good and welfare for the public. Is anybody online who's VW?
This one.
Okay. Okay, so there's no public hearings, so we'll go to additional topics for discussion. Enforcement Article 5153 Washington Street, 6 Northbridge Street, to review wetland resource area impact plan. It's submitted. Was there one submitted?
No, so I think Deshane is here to provide an update if you're ready, Deshane.
Deshang, do you have an update?
Yes, I just got back actually from the site. So as we, Isabella and I walked the area last time when they doing the tree log removal. So given the machine they had they couldn't get inside that much. I haven't uploaded the photo, but I did some flaggings and assessment of the wetlands. So given that the vegetation in the access paths with all the brush laid out, you can see some herbaceous plants coming out, so which is very helpful for me to assess the condition. So the majority of the main access going from 51, it's upland until there's a small section in the very front. And then in the back toward that potential vernal pool, right now it's all dry. I've kind of flagged that area. There's a little finger extended from, I'm going to see if I can get any plans. I literally just opened the, changed my clothes and coming back because so many things. See if I can bring up the plan. It's hard. Well, you all have some the site condition. So basically, if you walk in, I assessed also 53. So on the left hand side, there's a wetlands coming all the way to the neighbor 49 or 50 to 51. So and then there was between the two stone wall have like more like a semi-wetlands. It's kind of an intermittent stream condition. So I was wondering why so much water. So the water was tracked down all the way up to 49 should be 49, 51. Yeah, from 49, almost from the back of that house lot coming into our land. So I started the wetland flag in there, looped it out, and then there's the 30 feet of upland between the two stone wall. So I think that's either due to the construction of between the two stone walls, probably an old, either old cart path or farm path from what I can tell. So that wetlands, due to the construction of that berm, is kind of isolated. So it's like in trapped water. So that water does seeping out to some degree. That's why we can see some, looks like intermittent swale, but I think it looks like it's a man-made swale around the roadway and go all the way to 55 and go into a 15-inch pipe run about probably 200 feet into catch basin, which I showed Isabella last time when we were at the site. So it's confirmed. So I think I should be able, I'm going back there tomorrow, finish the wetland flagging. It's quite a bit. I already put up 60 flags right now. And so there's some more around that potential vernal pool. And in the back of that vernal pool, there's a man-made drainage ditch. I think it's also probably from the farm. So that control that potential vernal pool, it kind of drain to that ditch and it go more toward North Street. So that's, I hope, give you this like a quick assessment. So the overall, the site is all dry. So when Isabella and I was there, that we also find a very small potential vernal pool. We did find 3 egg mass. So in that, I would say 15 by 10 feet, kind of, I don't know if there's a farm pond. It's very interesting. It's all dry. So right now, so I will flag that one. It's definitely totally isolated. The big potential vernal pool is not isolated. As I said, it's actually drained to the farm ditch. I haven't get the time to trace that farm ditch, but I think it's going to one of the stream. Isabella, what's that stream more in the around North Street? So we talked about, so there's a wetlands that kind of extended.
Willowbrook.
Yeah, Willowbrook. So I suspect that farm ditch was excavated to connect to that direction, but I will confirm it. So overall, the most of the cutting, including the ones on the left-hand side, if you're walking in on 51, most are in upland area. There's a few trees in that, I call it between the 2 stone walls, was have some cut in around the edge of it, because inside of that stone wall path, it's like an intermittent stream. Is not much trees there. So that areas was small. Most of are in upland area. So that's hopefully it's a little comforting, and I will finish it and then get a surveyor to survey it. Then we can put on the table how we want to. Some of the still significant tree logs in front part of it. So I would recommend and have them to take that out and go all the way to near that intermittent, potential vernal pool. Isabella and I was there. We both think that some of those things should be removed. So to continue that wetland connection, so that vernal pool have a finger coming up to close to the stone wall. If there's any vulnerable species, they can have access. Otherwise, those tree tricks, they probably will rotten out, but it will probably take a good amount of time, since from now on to at least the end of September, October, the area should be very dry, and it's kind of solid when I walk on it right now. I will get you updated report after I finish the flagging, so hopefully by next week.
I'm hoping that we have this resolved by October. You don't see a problem with getting it flagged and surveyed by October, do you?
Mike? Well, I hope earlier, so we don't have to wait until October. So that's my.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's on the sooner side of, the end of June, beginning of July.
Yeah, there was like a little bit wet when we were still there. Don't have much of a vegetation coming out of the brush and lay the path. So therefore, it's very difficult to make a determination. That's a little bit delayed. And then when I get into end of May, and now I had a 3 house lot septic system have to be submitted today. That's why I made up a little bit earlier. Otherwise, today I couldn't even go. So I finished in the morning, so I can spend the afternoon there. Did at least more than half of the wetland fragging. So and walked over all the site. So that's and it seems like it is a good time to see everything.
Shannon, did you do any soil samples?
Yes.
Or you just plans?
Yes, I was there. The first thing I started is I dig some soil samples in that access road I called between the two stone walls. So there's a good amount of loamy soils there. And when I get down there's like a little probably dark brown soils, but I get into a soils with heavy models. So I then I look at the vegetation right now. Most of the upland is haze-scented fern, Canada Mayflowers, and Shakopah hickories, trees, and oaks. The only wetland trees, two wetland trees is red maple, and very sporadically I see some American elm. So the shrubs is sweet pepper bush, winterberry, and high bush blueberry. So the sweet pepper bush is almost the dominant one. So the other two, winterberry is a little bit more than high bush blueberry. So the trees, right now the vegetation is in full bloom. It's the best time for this kind of difficult situation, because where the heavy tree log covered area is hard to get soils. So that's why I wait until the sprout out of ground cover, so I can have a better sense of it. So
That's what I was curious about is where the slash areas are. So you're saying you can't get in there and get soil samples? You're waiting for stuff to grow?
that's that's part of the reason I maybe I didn't make that clear. Before I tried it, the brush and the mat is so heavy, you just cannot auger it. Unless I have to, remove all the matting. That's not going to be productive. It will take forever. So, but with the vegetation coming out, so you can see haze-scented fern coming out in the upland area. When I get to the wetland area, you can see loyal fern coming out. And a couple places even have a few sporadic skunk cabbage. So the vegetation under this situation is it's very helpful. Soils usually it's very versatile to use, but not for this situation. We all know after I assess it. So it's making this fragging and assessment a little bit difficult to do. So, and in the wintertime, you don't see all the vegetation coming out. And if the soils is not deterministic, then so I was waiting to until now. So it's seems like to me, I think it's really lined up in the field. So
Okay, let me open it up to questions for the board. Anybody have any questions for Shane? Carl?
Yes, I'm unhappy that this is taking so long. You mentioned that you think that you're going to be able to get a report to us by next week. I'd like to see about having a stronger commitment that you get it to us by a week from Monday or Tuesday. That would give us 2 or 3 days to review it before our next meeting.
yeah, I committed to it. My report is definitely will get, and I can use GIS to sketch that in. The only thing I cannot predict if I can get surveyor to get the in ground, survey map to you, because it depends on the availability. Since Shea Engineering is no longer in business, so otherwise I probably can ask for a favor.
Their CAD documents, AutoCAD documents have been taken over by another company.
Right, which I don't have much of a working relationship, so I can try. I'm not confident. So, I apologize, Carol. I wish I could do a little bit earlier. It's the field condition is a little bit complicated than just you can go to a virgin undisturbed site to do the flagging. So
That's why I thought you would want to do it before the plants crew, make it easier to get in and out of there. But let's table that and one more question.
Yep, second question for Deshang, and then I have one for our agent. A couple of months ago, you recommended that the trees come off the lot. I drove down Washington Street yesterday, and there are still a number. No, sorry, that's the question for Isabella. My question for Deshang. The other two sites that this particular logger had worked on, when do you expect you'll be able to go out and survey them?
I thought the commission is going to take a look of that, and based on your review, you will give us some kind of more elaborated requirement, because my clients said they didn't do anything. I don't know, so I'm in between. So I guess I need to see a little bit more descriptive on the work I need to do. Otherwise, the owner don't understand what I need to do. So.
Okay, we can take that up. And my question that I started going for Isabella is, what's the status of the trees? Do you know when they're coming out? Okay,
They, the person who did the work refused to come back to the site, so Jim McCarthy, the person here, hired someone else who came in a much smaller truck, and I think he did 2 or 3 loads, and I haven't heard that he's come back, so I don't know.
okay.
The way I was to understand is they care more about the ones that are on the street, close to the street, than the ones out in the woods. So the ones in the woods, they may come and get them.
I don't think they finished the ones by
No,
the street
there-
either.
there's still a number within 50 feet of the road.
Yeah,
I think they did 3 truckloads or something.
Okay,
so right now I would like to have some discussion as if you go there right now, it's definitely dry. If they can, that small truck, they probably have to get in to grab it. Their arm is not long enough. So I will discuss with Gary and the owner. So see if the previous guy, I think his truck is much bigger or somehow. But if we wait. We don't even need to wait now. I think right now, if you're going in, stay inside of that log mat path, they should be able to, because we want them to go to the back near that vernal pool area. I think my idea is to clean that inside of the wetland section. So if there's any creatures in the pool can access the upland area. Right now, it's like it's a little bit difficult in my view. So to access, and that's Isabella and I was kind of in agreement last time when we both at the site. But we know that we have to wait until the site dried up. They can get inside. So not to creating any mucky water to flow downstream. So right now it's dry. I think I would request the commission maybe have authorized Isabella take a look of the site and then see if when is and we can both agree, say at 1 week, 2 weeks they can come in back. Then I can communicate to them. So to remove the rest of the log and the brushes inside of a section of it. I flagged it. So Isabella, if you want to go there, I will give you a sketch quickly, so then you see which, there's a section of that access pass is inside of wetlands.
Shane, did you say you're going there tomorrow to finish flagging?
Yes, that's what my plan. I still have a meeting in the early morning. It's just two small meetings. So if it's available, I can before I head in there, I can either give you a call or something if you're available.
I would prefer to not do any work in the wetlands until I see your report and plan. The ones by the road, and they can take those away, but working in the actual wetland area, I think we should wait until the plan is submitted.
I agree. Yeah. No, I was just give you a site right now. It's quite a different even from a few weeks ago when we were there. So right now have a much better vegetation growth there.
The other thing that I'm seeing, Shane, is by letting all the wood go off the property, there's no immediacy to this thing moving forward. This the second deadline, it's coming past. We still don't have anything in front of us, but the logs get taken off.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see it move a little.
May I
more
just,
speedy.
Chair, may I interject here for just a second?
Yeah, man.
Okay, I just want to speak, and I'm kind of with the Sheng on why it's taking so long to figure out what vegetation is underneath. You have to remember that there's a literal bridge mat of green wood sitting there. For the plants to grow up and in through that, will that happen? Yes, but the timeline that's going to happen in being that there's such a mat of wood, it's going to take a while for plants to naturally grow up through all of that green wood. So I can see where Desheng is still having trouble right now trying to figure out what trees are there, because it is going to take time for those plants and that vegetation to grow through enough so that he can see what's there. We don't know what's under there. I mean, we were all there on the sidewalk. It was really, really, really just a thick mat of trees. So I just want to, I know we want things to go quicker, but I can see why Desheng hasn't gotten the answers that we would need. So I just want to speak to that.
I understand that, and that's why I was asking about the soils, because if the plants can't come through because the wood's so thick, but the soils have squeezed through because of the gaps in the wood, then that should give you an indication of what's there for soils.
Yeah, it's almost for the same reason. It's an organ either like at this that you need a couple of inches of space be able to organ in. So if the mat is so heavy, I tried a couple of times before, I couldn't get through.
It's literally just smothering all the plants. It's
I
very,
mean,
very,
there are
very.
areas that are clearly had standing water, so some areas can be defined based on when we were last out there with the standing water.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
think-
good.
I think we can all agree that there were areas where the skimmer that they had there had pushed the brush down enough to make the mud squeeze through it and be more prevalent.
Yeah, but if you're gonna do soil samples, you have to auger down into the dirt and you have to go down a couple of feet, if not more than a couple of feet, to see all the hydrology of the soils.
I just wanted to remind the members that at the meeting of May 14th, we adopted a motion as a final date for delivery of the plan tonight. So we need to do something, either enforcing that or extending the date.
I would almost keep it out of compliance with the expectation that we get it next week and then take action at the next meeting, with this being then 2 weeks out of compliance if we don't get it.
So am I looking for a motion for a non-compliance, or we just let it go for 2 more weeks?
Well, since you voted for June 11th, it'll now be non-compliant moving forward. So you would, whatever amount of days that we stay out of a non-compliance.
I make a motion to amend the motion from June for the report to be done by June 11th. And make a motion that we give him 2 more weeks. And at the next meeting, then it will be due.
I will vote against that motion.
I was gonna say, because I would want something to say that fines will accrue from today if we don't get something. So I was at the Lake Association.
Well, I would
meeting.
say,
There's a motion, but
Yeah,
it hasn't
was
been
there a second?
seconded. So ask for a second.
Is there a second?
I'll second it just to get some discussion going. I will be
Okay.
voting against it. I do not want to extend. I think we should just leave it sit and then take further action, noting that they are out of compliance as of today.
Any other discussion?
Can I just ask, Carl? Does this, I'm fine with you not wanting to vote for it. I'm just, maybe in my head, my question is this gonna look bad for Desheng, or are we doing it for are we doing this more because we want the applicant to be, in compliance?
It is bad form for us to issue a deadline and enforcement order and not find out until the day that the report is due that they are not going to be giving it to us. They should have informed us several days prior and let us know to have on the agenda for today and ask for an extension ahead of time rather than telling us on the day of that, no, I don't have the report for you.
And is that the applicant's job to do that, or is it Desheng's job because they hired him to do that report?
I don't care. It is not my responsibility to manage Desheng, Gary Smith, and the property owner.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure it out. That's all. I'm just asking questions. So in my head, I can wrap my head around it.
The ultimate responsibility is the homeowner, but the homeowner has delegated responsibility to Gary Smith. And then Gary Smith has been delegated to hire Desheng. So it's between Gary and Desheng to determine what and how often they're going to report to the Concom.
And to follow the schedule that was placed before us.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Leah, your understanding, but I also understand the rest, Carol, and the commission's position that I did a poor job in communicating back to the commission for the site condition. I just assume that the site is kind of difficult. Until I can get to it, I will get to it. Obviously, it shouldn't be. So we have to have a deadline and to communicate to it. So I take the responsibility, and I apologize for it. And that's why even today, I don't want to have any other excuse. I suppose I have a helper to start May 20th, but he didn't come. And so right now I'm extremely short-handed, but I took the job. I have to do what I have to do.
And just sharing, at this point, there's been a motion made and seconded to offer an extension.
Chairperson, can I remove my motion? I understand this a little bit better now.
Can I ask a question? Shane, is
Yeah.
it feasible for you to get us a report by the next meeting?
Yes, I already committed to it, and as I started today, I finished about half of the flagging, sort of, That's why as soon as I can get, I didn't know whether I can do the flagging. Actually, emailed Isabella last night or so, And I said, I will go there to take a look of it, see if I feel comfortable to do the work, to finish it. And this I will report it. And I based today what I see there, I feel comfortable to finish it. So I find a way to accommodate. So with vegetation, soils, combination, given the site condition, it's feasible now. I don't want to do a job that I don't feel comfortable to complete it, and then give a report that later on have issues. So
Now, are we gonna have issues, Shane, with getting a surveyor to get a plan before 2 weeks? Because if you do your work and nothing's laid out or planned out, it still leaves us where we are today.
And he can still give a report with some GIS that's sufficient enough for a wetland.
yeah, okay.
resource. Yeah, if it's not, doesn't need to be a professional land surveyor who comes out in this scenario.
Would it give us a square footage of disturbance?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, actually, that based on what I see there, I can measure it since in the field. So it's just that you don't have an overall plan that you can see where it is, but in the field, you still can go take a look of it. I will try my best see if I can get a surveyor there, but if it's not, at least I can measure, since the wetland flag is in the field, I can take the tape to give you probably not 100% accurate square foot, but so engineer's way, I think I have 2 flags crossing the path where they disturbed it, and I can use the trapezoidal area. It's probably pretty accurate, within a couple of, few square feet accuracy.
Shane, you're not doing anything with GPS, with the stick in the GPS in order to get your wetland flag marks and stuff like that, are you? That's a surveyor that does that, or is that something you do?
Supposed to be I can do it, but I haven't. I am not a surveyor. I'm an engineer. If anybody surveyed it, I can map in everything, but I haven't. I'm just one person right now. I just don't have those things laid out yet.
Because I'm gonna let Kyle ask the question, but I'm assuming that, doing sight glass and Rita, you need 2 people and you don't have that, so it isn't an option. So, Carl?
My understanding is that Shea Engineering has transferred all its AutoCAD files to Allen Engineering. If you are unable to work with Mark Allen, then I'd request that, or I would direct that you and Gary Smith jointly go and see if you can throw more money at the engineering company to get it done in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely we'll give it a try. I will talk to Gary, see if he know Mark Allen I think I just haven't worked directly face to face with him. I know they are doing also the job of Silver Spring, so hopefully if they are not totally buried, they can help out. So.
And to address a point the chair raised, I had someone from the Allen Engineering come out and survey my site alone.
That's a good news, hopefully.
Mr. Chair,
You can have laser.
Peter?
a question and then a comment. I'm wondering what is the ramifications of being out of, are we going to be hitting them with money? It sounds like it's to get it done as soon as possible. And then I'm hearing from our agent is that maybe if you can come within a couple feet with a GPS or measuring from an existing flag, that might be sufficient for what we need to determine the square footage. So if you can't get a civil, my sense is time is of the essence. So best of all would be to get a surveyor to pick it up, but if you can map it, it might be good enough.
Yeah, I can
Right.
map the area inside of the wetlands because it's not that big as I explained. I definitely will. I can triangle it to get the area pretty accurate.
Isn't there 2 or 3 different areas though?
Yeah, I can map so far I think the area in the wetlands was relatively around that path, and then a little bit there's lots of wetlands on the left, but it's not touched, so it's not disturbed, so I don't have to calculate that area. So I assume we are interested in only the area that is was disturbed or tree cut.
Aren't you gonna be in the 100-foot buffer zone, the 50-foot buffer, and then the 25-foot no disturb?
That area probably will be a little bit difficult to map because I'm I cannot flag in the buffer zones just based on wetland flag. That area is kind of more like after you survey it, you use the CAD and you do the offset, you can get those numbers. In the field, it's very difficult to do inside of the wetlands. I can map it by using tapes, but the buffer zones it's beyond at this point for me to do. So I will have.
I realize that I'm crossing surveyor's position with the engineer's position. So that I'm thankful for the answers and the knowledge I'm getting. Well,
Leia's asked to withdraw her motion. If Peter, who made the second, doesn't object and nobody else does, you can just say as chair that the motion's going to go away.
okay.
You ask for unanimous consent to do that.
Are you still withdrawing your motion?
I am
Um,
withdrawing my
I'll
motion.
is everybody okay with, Leah withdrawing her motion?
Yes.
Yes. Yep,
Yes.
so unanimous consent it is.
Okay, so where does that put us now? Now we're still in non-compliance.
Okay. The purpose of stating that it is in non-compliance is that if in the future we decide to take action and actually start doing something with the enforcement order, that's a vote we would take at a future meeting and it would be potentially retroactive to this date. And
No, and that's fair.
before we do anything like that, I'd want to have Isabella consult with her peers in the circuit rider equivalent to make sure that we're on firm legal ground before we start issuing fines.
And that
I
gives,
mean, that's why we have the timeline.
Yep,
right, and this gives the 2 weeks that for the next meeting to get more answers. So just Shane, you'll be able to get all your work done and hopefully reach out to Mark and maybe explain that, we're already.
I would recommend who he goes
Well,
to.
whoever you use, but let them know that, you're free, at this point, your free continuance is into it, so wouldn't, be a bad thing if they could put a little expediency to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I will call a few surveyors. So because I didn't contact them is because I haven't had the wetland flags up. So as soon as I have that up, I can call, surveyors who can do it. I know few of them, so it's just that I just don't know how busy they are. That's at this point. I don't want to promise for other people who, if they haven't commit to it. So I can keep Isabella posted for my end from my communication. So as soon as I'm done, I'm going to send a sketch out to the surveyors, see who can do that within to produce the map. I have to have this couple of days to look at the map to map in the area too. So of disturbance. So that's the best I can tell you. I will definitely get my part the field work done. So hopefully by end of tomorrow. If it's not, so it's probably the first thing Monday.
We have a question from one of the board members, sir.
Yeah, it's not a question. I raised this at the meeting where you adopted the resolution. We're dealing with a consultant. We have not seen the applicant or the applicant's representative for a month and a half. And we're making all these decisions through the consultant that affect the applicant or the applicant's agent. I understand the applicant is, I'll put this kindly, a few more years older than I am.
Just a decade.
But there is an agent. And the agent ought to be here. And the agent ought to be asked to be at the next meeting where this commission deliberates what the consultant is going to present. Because if we find that we don't have what we need, we're just going to be dealing again with the consultant. So I would just request that our esteemed agent be asked to notify the applicant and the applicant's agent that we would love to have them appear at the commission meeting next, where the commission will make some determinations with regard to the application that it said it was finally going to end tonight.
I'd also like Gary Smith at that meeting to make a representation as to exactly what authority he has been granted.
And I will agree with that as well.
Because at our last meeting, he tried to play both sides.
So is that okay that you drop and send?
Yep.
And Duchesne, you said you're gonna finish up tomorrow. Do you think by Monday you could probably get us a sketch, a hand sketch?
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what my plan. So
Okay, so you'll send it to Isabella and she can distribute?
yes, yeah. As soon as I'm done, I need to generate that for the surveyor reference so they can get to the field to pick up the. So I will try to find. I will try and talk to Mark, and so and a couple of others I know. So see whoever can get to it. And I obviously I need to talk to Gary to get their authorization. So I that's all I will do. But if you're helpful, I agree with you. So if you can approach Gary and to see so he will facilitate to get the commitment to it. So
Okay, when, got a board member with a question?
No, I have another paragraph to put in the letter to Gary Smith. At Duchesne's recommendation, we authorized the removal of the wood specifically so that it would improve the quality of the wetlands and begin the restoration process. I am unhappy that the wood has not been completely removed. And therefore, I would look to Gary Smith to either get the wood removed in the next 2 weeks under the conditions we set of reaching in, or he comes back and asks for a modification which would allow a smaller truck to drive in there. If he is going to ask for a modification, when I would want Duchesne to weigh in on whether the area will be disturbed by having that smaller truck drive across to get the lots out. Yeah. So this is another thing that I'm irritated about. That the wood was authorized to be removed and it hasn't been completed.
Like a couple of months ago, right?
So let the minutes show irritation.
Well, the meeting says that, but in the letter, it should be going and asking.
Well, they were told they could remove it. They weren't ordered to remove it. There's a difference.
Are you sure about that? I'd have to.
They were limited to what truck they could use, whether they could winch it out and drag it out. I'm not sure which is gonna harm.
They made a
them
big
more.
deal about moving it.
What I remember of that is that the wood was impacting some of the wetlands that was
Yes.
stopping the flow of the wetland process. So therefore, it was requested to be moved.
My expectation is that we only authorize the removal of the wood because Duchesne said it would improve the site.
And
since the wood has not removed, that is detrimental to the site. I would want to have to change over to saying, follow the recommendation of your consultant and get those logs out of there.
Yeah, so Carl, I need to clarify that. What I said is at that time, the pile of wood, it seems like it was on top of the flowing water, which I cannot see through. If they remove it, I can see right now everything is dry. Definitely as far as to the side, if it's a detrimental or not, that's what I didn't say that. I just said if it move that will help me to assess that intermittent stream status, because those pile of woods was right on top of it. So they removed part of it, not completely. So as far as the further removal, we probably need to give Gary, if they can get a smaller machine on track, I don't think it's going to cause detrimental to the resource, given that area mostly is a flowing water, but that's in the springtime. So, and I don't see vegetation will be impacted. Right now, still don't have much, I'm not saying very sparse vegetation in that entrance area coming out of the tree log mats, the brush / matting. So in that front.
I'm gonna entertain one more question, and at this point, we don't have a plan, we don't have a drawing, we don't have anything from a engineer, a surveyor, so obviously, this is not gonna get resolved tonight. So we're gonna be looking for something for Monday from you, and some kind of a schedule to get some kind of more accurate drawing before the next meeting, if possible.
Yes, I understand. So yeah, we will. I think that's the first step. So with that map in hand, and then you can either any of you can go, or you can dedicate it to Isabella to check in on the site if we can modify our tree log removal access. Be a little bit different. Before, they can only sit that machine outside of in the right of way, not getting inside. That's why they cannot reach it. But since right now everything is dry, if they stay in the matted path, that may make the tree removal a little feasible. That's just my observation.
Okay, I'm gonna let Kyle ask one more question, and then we're gonna wrap this up.
I am unhappy that the property owner's consultant is saying they think it will not harm the site. I'm not happy with that. Previously, we were told removal of the logs would definitely improve the site. I would ask that the consultant work on site and make a determination whether it will be beneficial or it doesn't matter or not, instead of just expressing an opinion.
Yeah, I think does not belong in scientific literature.
So it sounds like you need to reach out to Gary and Mr. McCarthy, Jim McCarthy, and get a plan for these log removals, and have Isabella and yourself on site when it happens.
Yeah, I will pass the message to them, and then I will provide my assessment in writing. So definitely, I agree that it's not just opinion. So based on site condition at that time is blocking that flow. I think it. So that's why I recommend it. Right now, there's no water flowing at there. I'm not saying that shouldn't remove it, because it still should remove it. Otherwise, it's still blocking that flow.
So at this point, I'm looking for a motion to acknowledge that you're out of compliance, and I'm going to get until the next meeting to come up with something for us to look at,
And the applicant or his representative.
to be present.
I don't think we need a motion. It's just out of compliance with previous motions and this deliberations we've made.
If that's the case, then we can,
Isabella, do you need a motion to send a stern letter off to Gary Smith?
Well, it's to John Gannett with Gary
Right.
Smith CC,
Yeah, as his agent.
And asking him to be at our next meeting.
Do you feel
or a
you need
different
a,
representative. if Gary's not coming.
do you feel you need a motion for that
I
or?
don't need a motion.
Okay, great.
okay, then at this point, Deshaun, you know where we stand? We don't want to string this out all summer long. So we want to see some movement.
Yeah, you have my word.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Isabella, I will keep you posted as my progress and so that at this we don't I don't miss my communication at this to make sure at this we have a communication channel open and not wait until the last minute. I apologize for the late response.
Mr. Chair, before we go to the next agenda item, one of the outcomes from our deliberation was DeShang requesting that the committee give him and the property owner more information about the other two sites before he goes and does work on them. So I think it is in order for us to schedule site walks to those two sites with the permission of the property owner and the property owner's agent, so that we can look and say, okay, does it look like you're within 100 feet of the wetlands in this particular parcel and in that other particular parcel? There's the one on North Road and there's a second one in the south of town.
All right, it's Blackstone Street, or something.
Okay,
So that would be a second letter or in addition to Isabella,
Okay.
looking for permission to go on 153 Blackstone and Ave.
I think it's 134 north. It's up there, maybe 140.
Okay, if there's no more questions, then we'll go to agenda number 5, emergency certification, 69 Murray Street. We had some legal problems. So if we can ratify the emergency certification, was on 6/1. Property owners who, Burke, Richard Merchant for beaver dam removal, flood yard, near septic area. We've been to this site before, haven't we?
Yes. Mhm. Yep.
This is one on power lines and the
Yep.
beavers like to dam up that whole section of area.
I move to ratify the emergency certificate for 69 Maury Street issued July 1st, 2026.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Cough and I.
Carl Hummel, aye.
Aye.
Leah Whiting abstain.
Upstate aye, motion passes with 1 abstention. All right, number 6, another emergency certificate, yeah.
Certification.
24 Boston Farm Drive, ratify EC issued on 6/4. The property owner for the removal of up to 5 trees determined to be hazardous to the home. In result of a tree falling on part of the house on May 30th, 2026. Is there your comment?
I visited the site following the tree. They hadn't taken the tree off from the house yet. So I told them they could obviously do that. But there were 5 other trees. He had 3 separate consultants come and they all marked the same 5 trees. And they had talked about that because it was a new house on some farms that the wind might have, those trees was their first time being exposed to wind. And so I gave the emergency certificate for those 5 trees because the work was scheduled for the following week. For And so we talked about if they want to take down more trees, filing an RDA or a notice of intent, depending on how close to wetlands they get,
How close were
in the 25 foot.
they? The 5 trees were in the 20?
Yeah, like the erosion controls are still up, so most of them were directly on the opposite side of the erosion controls. So they might have had root impact from the site being cleared. I don't know.
I move to ratify the emergency certificate for 24 Rawson Farm issued June 4th, 2026.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Cough and
Carl Hummel, aye.
Leah Whiting, aye.
Sorry?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Number 7, 10 Butler Road, issue enforcement order requiring wetland replication to be completed according to an expired order of conditions. Number 218-0692 issued 7/26/2011.
I visited the site because a building permit was pulled for 14 Butler Road, on this subdivision. It's on a shared driveway, so not a total subdivision, but 3-house development. 14 Butler Road has been designed outside of the 100-foot buffer. And I walked the property with the developer there. But in viewing the rest of the site, there's been some work on the other lot clearing, and there's some asphalt millings from paving the shared driveway on site. So I called the property owner, Mike Jones, and we walked the property and looked at the culverts that have been put in along the shared driveway. And everything appears to be according to the plan from 2011. So we talked about, he's unsure if the wetland replication was completed or not. It doesn't appear that it was, so that he owes about 1,600 square feet of wetland replication. And we looked at the areas where it was originally proposed, and he might want to move it to an area that's sunnier so that he doesn't need to take trees down, which, as long as it's hydrologically connected, I don't mind. I don't think there will be issues revising the replication plan. And so we need an enforcement order to require the replication be completed, and then I would recommend that they stop work on lot 1. That's within the buffer and buffer to Springbrook, unless they can prove they're not in the buffer. So John Dienart was coming out to the site to pick up the old wetland flags and put them out. And start work on the house bill for the shared driveway, so we should get that in a relatively okay time frame. But
Discussion, Carl?
Who is the owner of record for lots 1 and 2? Is that the same person?
they're all under the Haywood House, and
Okay,
Mike Jones is the
So,
owner.
so then we know who to talk to. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move to issue an enforcement order on 10 Butler Road as discussed.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote.
Leah Whiting, aye.
Or I,
Cough and I.
Carl Hummel, aye.
Susan Cahalan.
Sweet aye. Motion passes unanimously. So they'll get this enforcement order and then come back to us with a some kind of application plan.
Replication plan and an as-built for the shared driveway, and then at some point in the future, notice of intent for lot 1 and lot 2. But lot 3 is outside of the buffer.
That's nice. Number 8, updates. Into the Lake Association meeting, they had concerns. Isabel, are you staying up with building permits and who's filing them and who they are?
Some of them.
It made mention that there's 3 different sites on Tap Ave that are under construction that they don't believe came before us, so didn't know if you want to follow up on that.
I mean, depends on the work they're doing, if they're refurbishing a deck or doing house siding or new doors and those sorts of
That's
things. We
what I
don't
explained
need,
to them, is if it's not digging in the ground, then it's out of our jurisdiction.
and pre-existing structures can be maintained. They can't be largened or expanded. So if I see a deck that's proposed to be twice as large, that's kind of what I'm flagging, not,
Right,
Yeah.
it's a needing footings. So it, I mean, like I said, it might be some more looking into, existing building permits to see if there's anything that came out recently.
To avoid having Isabella do unnecessary work, are you able to identify the sites of concern that the Lake Association called out?
I can get those,
Okay, if you get the addresses, it's a lot easier to look them up in OpenGov.
okay. Very good. So, agent, anything?
the lake was treated today by Water and Wetland. They put up the signage on Monday. I emailed the Lake Association and put it on the town website. So that'll be done before school gets out next week and camp, which is great. And then we're gonna start the E. coli and nitrogen phosphorus sampling around the lake on Monday. We
Does that get you out in a boat on the water?
don't do it on the boat, we do it on the shore.
Okay,
They doing 7 locations or 6? They usually do 7. They have 6, but they try to get 7.
It's me.
That's all the wetlands did.
No,
They don't do the samplings?
no,
How many are you doing?
it's so Grandview, the Nipmuc Cove. Old Taft Ave. The beach. And Wayne Phipps House,
Like 5.
6 maybe.
Do you, yeah, I was gonna say, do you do anything there with the outlet is for the dam?
Wayne Phipps House is the closest.
take a long time to walk in there and need hip waders.
I thought, you could, yeah, access that through the last one.
Can.
Okay, so about 5, maybe 6 locations.
So six locations every other week and the beach every week. Is what we've been doing. And then the perchlorate tests before and after 4th of July.
How good on levels, they've been staying good.
Normal, yeah.
It's a great resource for Mendon, so it's good to keep it up.
We get to go on the SS one, so.
Guess where my waders at least. Yeah. We're making progress on the Charles River Greenway feasibility study with Bellingham, Blackstone, Central Mass Planning Agency and Metropolitan Agency. The consulting firm, we did a full day last week from Blackstone all the way into Bellingham, looking at different possible layouts for the trail. So it'll be in the southeast portion of Mendon and hopefully get people access both to the SNET and the Charles River bike path. And then also working on the MVP 2.0 progress. So we're branching out to look for community liaisons to people in underserved or communities that will be most likely impacted by climate change. So we're looking at priority populations, seniors, youth, non-English speakers, people with disabilities, those sorts of things. So over the summer, we'll hire 5 community liaisons to join the team and then be doing the outreach starting in September for that process. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay. Well,
Status of the site walk for 130 North Avenue conservation restriction.
I sent an email for next week to ask, but it got transferred to Meehan, so I need the contact of the person
Who
in
is the
charge.
property owner?
Gary Smith was not clear with me. So he said
Okay.
transferred to Kevin.
As of last week, Gary Smith is the property owner because nothing has changed at the Worcester County Record of Deeds.
It might take a few days though. He said it was
Okay.
transferred. I don't know if he meant the nonprofit was transferred or the property.
Okay,
But if the nonprofit was transferred, I don't know how
I'm pretty sure that the conservation restriction requires that the conservation holder be notified of a change of ownership. So, yeah, he needs to tell us.
Yeah.
In writing.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what I tried to get.
okay.
Lots of letters to Gary Smith this week.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think he's happy with me, but
Well, we're not happy with him.
How many people appreciate the Conservation Commission?
I mean, I'm just gonna email my contact group and the in group and go from there. But I mean, if, you know, the CR says we need to notify us 20 days in advance, if that didn't happen, then that didn't happen.
Hmm.
I don't really. But I'll see for next week. Next Thursday's a holiday for town halls are closed, so it's been a lot of full day things that I've been out on my head, and I haven't even looked at the front plans, so I don't know if anyone had comments from that, but I didn't see any in the meeting.
I sent my mail with my comments a couple of weeks ago while you were on vacation.
Directly to him.
No, I sent it to you and then it got forwarded to the committee.
About the farm plan or just in general?
Oh, right, farm plan. No, I didn't say anything about the farm plan because I've never read one before. I'm hoping Leia's able to comment on whether it's a good farm plan or not.
I briefly skimmed through it. It looked fine. It's whether they do that. That's the problem.
Well, it looks like they, you know, they're cross-tilling the field and they have all the rocks marked out that they want to pull out, so
Right.
there will be a machine in there eventually.
Right.
That's big enough to pull those rocks out. I mean, it may cause a little bit of concern, but it's what needs to be
But
done.
they do
I'm not worried about it.
Right, they do not need to ask us for permission to perform agricultural activities, even if it is bringing in a honking great machine to pull rocks out.
Right.
That's not one of the activities which requires our consent.
Yep, okay. Is that everything?
My end.
Okay, Peter?
Land use is not moving this month because we don't have anything to do.
I'd like to get you and Leah and Isabella together someday next week. Just to go over the site visit for. What do you-
That's fine. That's fine with me. Just propose some days and times.
Okay, and why don't we have Isabella get in touch with us? Have her availability.
You have a date in mind, Kurt?
I'm okay most of the week except Tuesday. The only day I've had one problem.
Do you want to try and plan a date or you want to get together after this again date?
So Monday afternoon.
You know, it's fine with me.
Are you okay with Monday afternoon?
I think that works for me. I'm just trying to remember if I have any, for some reason that's popping it, but I think it works for me. Are we just meeting at town hall?
Yeah.
Time,
One.
at 1:05.
That's fine. One or two works because it's usually the hottest part of the day and I come inside, so that works.
Monday, June 16th at 1 o'clock? It's not 15. Monday's 15th. Okay, did anybody get a chance to review the minutes?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
look good.
I actually was able to get into the share site finally, so I did get to see them.
I have a comment. May 14th, I was actually in the, Bermuda, so I was a country, but it says I voted on some.
Didn't you call me?
No, because I wasn't needed. I did offer to call.
That's, you're listed as member absent up at
Yeah.
the top.
What did it say you voted on them?
Which,
Thing.
which number?
Number 5, a couple other ones, please.
Yep, Halen, aye.
Okay. I guess I didn't edit it. I edited the first one and then I forgot.
When I actually do read these things, like, oh, wait a minute, before here.
5 and 6.
I make a motion to accept the minutes for May 14th as verbally amended.
Yeah.
Remove Susan Cahalan from votes.
Is there a second?
Second,
Roll call?
Leo Whiting, aye.
Kaufman, aye.
Carl Hummel, aye.
Aye. Nor.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Okay, now it's good to be written. Well said, Carl.
Yep, I've got 2 items. The first, I got an anonymous note taped to my mailbox about 30 Nisco Road. It was written in large block letters and said that there had been some burning on the site and that the siltation vent was down in some areas. Later that evening, that afternoon, I went up to the site and walked the perimeter and saw no damage to the siltation fence. And I saw no evidence of any burning or burn pits on the ground. So I'm just mentioning this, and I put it under the category of anonymous reports are anonymous, and sometimes they are sensible and sometimes they don't seem. So maybe they cleaned up the burned area. Maybe they repaired the fence quickly enough before I got there. I'm working on site, but either way, the site appears to be in compliance with our order of conditions.
Thank you for going to look this up.
The second one is that at last Wednesday's meeting, the select board voted to accept a grant for air quality monitoring. Dylan went out and there's this company that sells air particulate matter samples, and there's a website you can go, and there's a big spot in Mendon doesn't have any samples. So the town will be getting these and installing them, and then it will help people monitor air quality. So that's conservation related.
And then one of those in here, it's a little hot. We need a little air quality.
Oh, in the next couple of days, the next couple of weeks, they're going to go and put in mini splits that are a lot quieter, and we can keep them running in the middle of meetings.
Good news.
That's a report from my FinCom hat.
Any other items to this? So, it's not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours of the meeting. Does anybody have any observations or anything that they want to speak on? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move at 8:14 p.m.
Motion been made and seconded, roll call?
Leo Whiting, yes.
Warriors.
Kaufman, aye.
Hummel, aye.
Susan, I.